Welcome back to the Relationship Whisperer Show with Miss Dragonfly, where we discuss all things relationships with the aim to make marriage great again. Now, for those new to the show, I normally do an astrology reading as well as going into discussing relationship issues. And the reason is I am also an astrologer as well as a relationship expert. And they do go very much hand in hand. So we can, as part of making marriage great again and matching couples, a very good technique is doing an astrology reading. So you can match and see whether or not you are compatible. And the one good thing about astrology is, and doing an astrology reading, is people cannot cheat. Okay? I should say people cannot lie. But anyway, the astrology that I do is not the regular Western astrology that people are familiar with, such as Leo, Aquarius, Libra, and so forth and so forth. But I do Taoist astrology, which most people would know as Chinese astrology. However, it does come from Taoism, so rightly it should be called and known as Taoist astrology. All right. Now, I usually have a look at a celebrity and look at the charts of a celebrity. And today I thought about having a look at Margot Robbie, this very famous and successful Australian actress. Margot Robbie has been in so many things. Lately her star has shone, and this year she is battling down and she is expecting her very first child. So big congratulations to Margot. And so we'll have a look at her chart. Okay. She is born at about 7:46 a.m. on the 2nd of July 1990, okay, in Australia. So the chart that is generated for her from this is she has a young metal horse on her year. Her month pillar is yang water horse again. Her day pillar is yang earth dragon. Oh, she's getting a lot of yangs. And her hour pillar, yang fire dragon as well. So she is absolutely all yang. And not only that, she has 2 horses and 2 dragons. So it's more like split personality. She's got her, what she has shows on the outside and what she's like on the inside is different. So that's what it tells us. On her 2 horses then is basically gives her a racehorse chart, and then her 2 dragons, which are also earth, gives her a competitive chart or maybe dominant as well, depending on her combinations. Okay. So for that, it's almost like what you see on the outside with Margot is not what she really is like on the inside. So, with regarding what she's got there, it's almost like a rags to riches, and she tend to have lots of ups and downs as well, be having the horse and the dragon there. Okay. So we'll have a look back at her history and what has done. Now, like a lot of up-and-coming actors and actually a lot of the currently successful actors and actresses, they had their start on Aussie soaps. A lot has come from Neighbours and Home and Away. Okay, so Home and Away, I guess I don't know, you had a lot of, I'm trying to remember. Craig McLachlan was, he wasn't. I think he was both. Yeah, Jace and Neighbours had lots of stars from that. Jason Donovan, Guy Pearce, came from Neighbours, and the very famous and successful Kylie Minogue. Yes, she started as Charlene on Neighbours, and it was a very big thing, Charlene and Shane. And it was Kylie and Shane and Jason Donovan. That was the it couple in the late 80s and I guess early 90s as well. They really were a couple, having married on Neighbours itself. And after Neighbours, I mean, Kylie's career just rocketed, you know. So many of them did so well. And I think it's also Natalie Imbruglia as well. I think she might have been on Neighbours. Yeah. Also, Guy Pearce, very, very successful, and he was on Neighbours. I'm not sure about Hugh Jackman. I know, Hugh Jackman. I'm not so sure. But yeah, so many have been on the soaps and have got their career started on soap. And I guess another one was Isla Fisher. She was definitely Home and Away. And also Melissa George. That's right, Melissa George being on Home and Away. And she's been quite successful, not as successful as Margot or Kylie, but she was also very well known. Okay, so a very good springboard for a lot of people, a lot of stars. It's almost like they go there and kind of like get acting experience and exposure, and awareness of people, build up their profile. And then using that as a basis, they're able to get other gigs, so forth. A lot of them go into acting. Kylie was a bit of a surprise that she went into singing. She was never really known as a singer from what I can remember, But, there has been some controversy and says that she was basically a manufactured star. And her voice sounded that well because of manipulation. So that's been whether or not it's true. It's rumors that have been plaguing her for quite a number of years. I mean, for the start of her career, and I don't know, maybe the critics have been died down a bit. Maybe they think after all this singing career, her voice has actually naturally gotten better, and she's now a natural singer. But anyway, I'm not looking at Kylie at this time. I'll do Kylie on another day. Today is Margot Robbie. Now, she first got a gig. She started in 2008 to 2011, and she began on Neighbours. And that, if we have a look, it was during the Yang Metal Lux cycle. Okay? So, that was a start that naturally wasn't part of being dominant or a resource. But, Yang Metal was actually her stem on her year pillar. So very much exposure there, first exposure. So it kind of makes sense. But, and that was her first gig. She wasn't a big star then. So kind of like, it makes sense being on the year, same as the year. But, that's almost like what do you call it? Your year pillar is like the outside, how you interact with the outside and how the outside perceives you. Okay, and she started there with trying to get some recognition with the outside. Yeah. Now, from 2011 to 2012, she moved to the US and she started in Pan Am TV. That was still in Yang Metal Lux cycle. Now, 2013, when things started to move for her. And she started in The Wolf of Wall Street. That movie with Leonardo DiCaprio. So she got a chance to do a Hollywood movie and rub shoulders with very established stars like Leonardo. In 2013, she was in the Snake Lux cycle. No, 2013 was a Snake year. So it was fire. So that supported her resource part of her chart. And so that supports her. Now, 2016, when she is in the Dragon Lux cycle. Okay. And it was also a monkey year. So you've got dragon and monkey together, and that actually forms water. Okay, so she got a combination there, and she's got another two dragons there. So three dragons and one monkey, and that would have made her follow the money. Yeah. Yeah, and she started making money. Sure as hell started making money then. Yeah, in 2016, during that time, she was starting Tarzan, that movie, and here as Jane. So she actually got a very prominent role. I guess this is her first real prominent role because, every time you hear of Tarzan and you watch a Tarzan movie, you expect to see Jane. Where's Jane? It's almost like it's not complete without Jane. You can't have Tarzan without Jane. Unless it's showing part of his foundation years when he's a baby and how he became Tarzan before outside contact, so to speak. Jane came later. And also that year, she played Harley Quinn in Suicide Squad. Now, as I remember, I did watch Suicide Squad. It was quite a good movie as part of the DC universe. And playing that Harley Quinn, which was the Joker's girlfriend, so to speak, and she did very well. I could actually buy her as Harley Quinn. When I see her in there, I don't see Margot Robbie. I actually saw Harley Quinn. And when an actor or an actress is able to do that, that is really good acting because, some actors you don't actually see the character. When you see them in a movie, you just keep seeing that actor. And someone that comes to mind would be like Paul Hogan. Now, unfortunately for Paul, when I see him in a movie, I don't see the character or whatever. I just see Paul Hogan. I just see him, the actor in the movie rather than the character that they play. But anyway, hats off to Harley Quinn. She did very well. I mean, I used to watch the animated series of, what do you call it? The Justice League. Yeah, and I saw Harley Quinn in there. And yeah, the way she's adapted that and saying, yeah, I buy it as not so Harley Quinn. Now, 2017, the next year, she actually starred in a title role as Tonya Harding in I, Tonya. So she actually played the star there, the main character. So that was a very big thing. No longer supporting actress. And that, again, still in the Dragon Luck cycle, but in the Rooster year. And in the Rooster and Dragon combine. And then they combine to form some water. So she's got a combination there. It helps her as well. And so she became the star, okay? And with water, again, that's money for her. Again. So, yeah, doing very well. Now, 2018, okay, she played a main character as well. Very, very prominent. She starred as Elizabeth in Mary, Queen of Scots. Okay, granted, she wasn't there as Mary, she was as Elizabeth, but very main character, very prominent. And the way they did her makeup, I remember seeing images of her as Queen Elizabeth I. Wow, I was thinking it totally transformed her. This very white, like powder, bond white face. And I guess that was the fashion back then. The whiter, the better. Okay. And I think that foundation, so forth, she used was basically lead. And I heard that it's called Parisian Ceruge. Very fancy name, but for what was in effect, powdered lead. And this is the thing, eventually it killed her, I think from lead poisoning. Ruined her skin, that's the thing with lead. Once upon a time, yeah, we've all heard of that. Women used to put lead on their faces as foundation to whiten their skin, to get that white porcelain look. Though unfortunately, it would also ruin their skin, and because they'll get ulcers and blisters on their faces, the more then they use that lead powder to cover up all those flaws. And so it got worse and worse. I think eventually it was caked on. But I was seeing that, and then I thought back to Kate Blanchett, who also was in the movie Elizabeth. Okay, started role. And while I did not watch Margot Robbie's movie, Mary Queen of Scots, I still remember the two images, and they played it very, very, like I say, looking at it, I can actually buy that that's Elizabeth I in both versions, where they're acting, and also after the makeup, you can get that persona. Though please do not do a movie or drama series like they did, having a black actress play Anne Boleyn, Elizabeth's mother. Now, you look at any portraits of Elizabeth I with her pale, pasty skin, you would never expect her to have come from a black mother. So all those people that say Anne Boleyn, well, she could have been darker, we never know. There's no photos of her, and there's some description of some ambassador saying how she was tawny with olive sun skin. Well, that's far away from being a black person. And, she can't have been too dark because her daughter is lily white. Okay, so that's the thing. If I'm watching a movie, I need to be able to buy that character. I need to feel like if it's a historical drama set in some historical time, that I'm actually in that world. That's the world I'm seeing, and that was real. I think a lot of people are the same as well, whether or not they are willing to admit it. In this day and age of political correctness, what we see wrong, and diversity and inclusion, and it's basically all social engineering. Gets ridiculous. Now, back to Margot. The next year, 2019, okay, she starred as Sharon Tate in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Now, I haven't seen that movie at all, so I didn't know that she was in that movie. And that was a pig year, so no combinations there. She wasn't that popular. I should say that use wasn't that well known, and she wasn't that known for that role. So forth. I mean, if you're asked, what has Margot Robbie played? What roles has she played? And I don't think many people would think of Sharon Tate in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. They remember her as Elizabeth, right? And probably Harley Quinn or Tonya Harding. Now, that next one, in 2022, she was in Babylon. I don't know about that movie. And in 2022, she was in that was a tiger year. And that's also in her rabbit luck cycle. And she's got a dragon. Now, tiger, rabbit, and dragon form what we call a seasonal wood combination. And so wood for her is power. So it was pretty good. So her chart then changed to power chart. This is the thing. If your chart is not strong, is not clearly defined, then, or especially if you're a changing chart, then when things come along that can cause a combination, then that's when you change or you become something. That's why a lot of actors and actresses have their charts are changing charts, because they can change with other movement, and the job is to change and take on the persona of the character that they are playing. But given that Margot has two sides of her, I find it also enables her to do acting. And now the big one. In 2023, she starred in the title role of Barbie. And playing Barbie. We kept hearing about, there's going to be a Barbie movie coming on, a Barbie movie, but it never happened, and until it is eventually eventuated in 2023. And that became a very popular movie. It did extremely well, though unfortunately she did not get any awards for that. Well, she, as far as I know, I only know of the Academy Awards, the Oscars, and she wasn't nominated for that. But she did so well. She became so famous, and she's got really star power. I think she's probably got star billing now. And 2023, last year, was a rabbit year. And that was in a rabbit luck cycle. So again, emphasizing the wood aspect of the power. So her star rose. So the previous year in 2022, that's what formed the basis with that seasonal wood combination, providing her with that wood. So enabled her to get power. And she probably got that to be able to nab that role and to become Barbie. And I think that would have been a very much sought after role, playing Barbie. So, okay. Her love life. So she's married. She married Tom Ackley. And she met him in 2013. And so that was during the Dragon luck cycle. Now, looking back at her chart, her house or spouse is governed by a dragon. So that year, what does that mean? So, luck cycle, dragon. So she's in a dragon luck cycle, and the dragon also governs her house or spouse. Henceforth, she was able to meet her future spouse there. So, and this is the thing, when your house or spouse gets activated, either if you're single, either through a combination, a clash, or just another sign that's the same as your house or spouse, then you have a chance to meet someone. Now, it's always stronger if it's during the luck cycle, meaning that because you've got something like 5 to 7 years span. So there's plenty of chances there for it to build up and meet the right one during that time. So anything that's normally occurs during a luck cycle, I see it as being more serious, even one of the more serious matches and stronger matches as well. So strong for her is that she married him in 2016. Okay, so 2016, that was the monkey luck cycle. Well, no, 2016, that was the monkey year. And monkeys and dragons combine. What do you know? Okay, so that year combined it with her house or spouse. And so she got married then. Good on her. Now, we heard that she's actually pregnant and due to give birth later this year, by the end of 2024. And 2024, as we all know, is a year of the dragon. And again, we look at her hour pillar. Now, her hour pillar, or her house of children, is governed by the dragon as well. So, you've got the same dragon and dragon. Dragon year, which is the same as a house of children. Hey, activates it. She can have a baby, which she is having a baby. So all the best to her. And she's had a great career. Very surprising how, I don't know how she managed to get all those roles in the US after just starring in Neighbours. But she's done extremely well. And I guess she's made her career, have built her career, and have a star power, made bulk of her money. And now I think she's about 35 at the age where she's got time now to have a baby. And I understand her thoroughly. Have a baby quickly before she gets too old. And as a woman, it's different from a man. Women are under time constraints, biological time constraints, and unfortunate, but that's the way it is. And so that's what we have to work with. And that's also what I'm going to be discussing today regarding relationships. Today would be a very female focused and women focused day of giving advice, seeing that I've given advice specifically for men in my last few shows. So now it's the women's turn. Now, making marriage great involves both sides, and both sides have to be of the same mind. Now, last time I spoke about, women taking criteria. Women want 90% of the women want the top 10% of men. And mathematically, that's impossible. So you're going to get 80% of women being disappointed, okay? Because 10% of men can only take on 10% of women. That's the maths. Now, women making all these demands and so forth. And I guess they're waiting for the right one, so to speak. I mean, there's women that set their criteria very high. Now, there is nothing wrong with wanting a quality partner or a high value partner and wanting certain things in a partner. However, the converse is, will you be able to get that sort of partner? It's all fine and well, wanting things. I want this and want that. I want, 4 overseas trips in a year and so forth. I want to live in a mansion and so forth. That's what I find well to dream and want. But the reality is, can you get it? Yeah, very, very important. It's because they've got to also want you, not just one side. Okay? And so because women, having a lot of women having the idea, a certain amount quality of men that they want, this is besides women that don't know what to look for. Like a lot of people, men included, don't really know what they want, what they should be looking for, but just go with their hearts and what they think and what everyone else says. But that's a discussion for another show. But for today, where they want this, they want that. I mean, from the feminists, it's going, you need to have your career first. Career is so important. A woman must have a career. I guess it's drilled into women like you're only someone and of worth if you have a career, and then you can be a quality woman, a strong, independent woman. And so it encourages feminists encourage I wouldn't say encourage, I would say discourage marriage, women to get married, or if they want to get married, then make sure they've got a high-powered career first. There is a problem with that, in that a high-powered career does take time to build up. I mean, women, normally you have to go through university, obtain your qualifications, your tertiary qualifications, either bachelor or postgraduate, higher, so masters or even PhD women. If you're up for it, then go work in corporate and gradually build up, climb the corporate ladder until you get to senior management. And that also takes time. Besides, while you're building up your career and trying to climb up the ladder to get promotions, you have to prove yourself, so to speak. And that involves lots of time at work, lots of long hours. And during that time, very difficult to meet anyone. Well, I say difficult in that you do not have a chance of much of a social life. And if you're not out there meeting people, getting connections, then it's hard to meet someone. I guess unless you go online dating, of course, but that's a different kettle of fish. But then you've got the issues with, do you have time to date then? See, it's not so clear cut. And there's also issues with, seeing profiles on the screen versus actually meeting someone in face-to-face. I mean, the feelings are a bit different. The dynamics are different there, but that's another discussion. Okay, so and by the time they are ready and to look around, they're established, look around, they're already in their 30s, well into their 30s. And that is when women start hitting the panic button. Because ladies, unfortunately for ladies, because of the biological clock, there is a definite window that you must meet up with someone, hook up and marry, and before you can have children. I mean, finding someone to have a child with. And that's when they start seriously looking in their 30s, and then that's difficult. You see. Besides that, look, it does take time to meet someone, form a relationship, and then decide whether or not you're right for each other. Find out, get to know each other, find out then. Because at the end of it all, you may not be right for that person. It could be a few years, and then if it's not right, then you have to try again with someone else. And then spend the time trying to meet someone and then date if you happen to click, and then form a relationship to get to know each other. So this takes a few years. And for a woman that's that's already in her 30s, but she might be hitting 40, and at that time should be very difficult to find someone and be in panic mode, because the clock, then the window of opportunity to have children, the fertility window, is rapidly closing, and that's hard. And then it's like there's a certain area of desperation that they give off, and men pick up on that. And so when you straight away see a woman in her 30s and going, okay, she's going to push for marriage and kids now, sort of thing, and then kind of pressure's on, so to speak. And look, older women that have life experience, a certain amount of life experience, have monies, have an established career and so forth, they want a man equally well educated, aesthetically pleasing, with at least as higher income. And like I mentioned before, and most people I think would understand, that women want to a partner and marry across and up in terms of social sphere and also wealth, whereas men marry across and down. Okay, the same reasons, for different reasons. Because a woman that wants a, what do you call it, a protector as well. It doesn't matter how well off and established the woman is. She would prefer not to have to be the main breadwinner and the person doing all the driving, so to speak. She'll prefer someone else do the driving, and she can sit back for the ride and, take over every now and then as a secondary support driver, or as you call it, like, in an airplane, the co-pilot. I mean, you've got the main pilot and then you've got the co-pilot that jumps in. If something happens to the pilot, they jump in and able to finish the flight if need be, but they're not the main person. And I guess that's also a reason why you hear that they're always served a different dish. The pilot and the co-pilot have a different dish in case one of them gets food poisoning from a certain dish, and then the other one's okay, and they can take over, so to speak. The problem is for older women is the availability of men, okay, that they look for. And traditionally, women prefer an older man rather than a younger man. A few years older, ideal, but, up to 10 years older, I think, normally. But the thing is, there's not many high-quality men still single after 35. Okay. Normally, they're already married. Okay. So the ones that have never been married, that are high quality, and still never been, still single over 35, they become very selective. In terms of who they pick. Because remember, very few quality men after 35 that have never been married and never had children. It's what women prefer, a man not to come with any baggage. I guess it's what anyone would prefer, even men. That's why a lot of men are put off by single mothers, so to speak. Don't go there because she's come with baggage. And equally, the woman always think, yeah, I prefer him not to have children and come with baggage, so to speak. So a man over 35, high-quality men, with good conditions, is going to be selective. Why would they want you? Okay, for a man, it's not about money. If he's already earning quite a bit of money herself, and well, obviously that's why the women are attracted to him. So what do you bring to the table then? What do you provide? Because then women are competing in the same pool, looking for the same pool of men as younger women in their 20s. You know, it's kind of like and that competition then, well, women are at disadvantage in terms of age and also fertility-wise. And women in their 20s don't give off that, because they've got more time, they don't give off the air of desperation. Oh, I've got to find someone quickly. My biological clock is ticking. I need to have a baby by this year, so to speak. So, there's very few men left in the pond at that age, but the women still want to pick the big ones. Everyone's after the big ones. And there's a saying that goes, men are like car parking spaces. All the good ones are taken, the rest are disabled. And there is some truth to that. Men that have available, not necessarily looking for a very young woman and so forth. Their conditions or what they come with are normally not as good. Okay, you have to really find the gems, and the gems are difficult to firstly find, and secondly attract and convince, because you're competing with a lot of younger women. Men in their 30s are fine to hook up with women in their 20s, but women in their 30s are not usually fine to hook up with a man in his 20s. I guess feel like she's his mother or his older sister. Women tend to get that vibe, and that they have more life experience and the man has less life experience and translates to less life skills. So they're going to be the ones that have to be in the driver's seat and basically be the main breadwinner or main person in the relationship with the younger man. So, look, women really should be looking for a marriage partner in your 20s, as that's when you have the most value, and then you can command the highest price. With everything, well, you've noticed that people that are smart, that make a lot of money, they sell things when it's in prime condition. Just even go to the supermarket, in the fresh food section. Yeah, the fruit and vegetables, this price, when it's just being delivered and put on the shelf, it's at its prime. It's at its prime condition. Therefore, it's been charged accordingly. However, after a week or so, even the fruit and so forth deteriorates in quality. It becomes less and less desirable, and then it goes into markdowns. And if anyone's been in a supermarket towards the very end of the day, they can see a lot of things being marked down, whether it's roast chicken or sometimes meat heading towards their expiry date, and they get marked down, and you get bargains. So ladies, you do not want to end up in a bargain bin and have to accept just anyone, just for the sake of making the sale, so to speak. If I can still use that analogy, and this is a saying, look, it's not mine, but I'm going to use it because it's correct. Okay? And that is, a woman is born rich and gets poorer as she ages. A man is born poor and gets richer as he ages, as time goes on. Now, in terms of, we're talking about wealth here. In terms of wealth, a woman's wealth and basically her assets and her value, unfortunately, is tied to her youth. So many psychologists and psychiatrists would tell you, men are attracted to young and beautiful women. Why? Because it signifies health and fertility. And that's what women have going for them. And a man, his value is what resources he can bring. And the longer a man works, his ages and goes through life, the more resources he accumulates. And so the richer he becomes and the more desirable he becomes. And so that's why you keep seeing these very wealthy older men with beautiful young models on their arms. Okay? And it's kind of like when you see that, it's like, yeah, I know what's going on and so forth. Ask them and they said, oh, we're genuinely in love. I love him or so forth. I love her. She's a great person, not because she's of a beauty or a body, a youthful body. But that is the truth. And unfortunately, it does sit very uncomfortably for women hearing that. Very uncomfortable, but we have to be honest. And that is the truth. And dealing with the truth, then, it won't work. And no advice is going to work unless it's dealing with the truth. You can say all these motherhood statements and all these political correctness things. However, if they don't reflect reality, then all that advice is not going to work. I mean, I can sit here and say that, it doesn't matter. Men would still be attracted to women no matter how she looks or how old she is, as long as she's a good person. And women do not care if men were rich or poor. Even if poor, it's a great man here. They'll still love him and still be so much attracted to him. That's all very idealistic things, but unfortunately, idealism doesn't correlate with reality. And it's reality that we have to deal with. And so women, yes, start in your 20s looking for a gentleman, your life partner in your 20s. It's when you have command the most market value. You're at your prime, so to speak. And anything that's your prime, you can have the pick of the market. And you can marry very well. Okay, look, there are people that say, marriage is not important, blah, 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 blah. And lots of women, I've heard it from lots of women, especially professional women, and until they hit their 30s and then, they want to find someone then. Because after a while, there's only so many parties you can go to and girls' night out. And before you get sick of them, and then you come home to an empty apartment. And that's your life until you go out with the girls again next time. And then when you go out with the girls, a lot of them might be married. It's harder, or meeting up with them. It's difficult when your friends are married, they're coupled up, and you feel like an intruder going there. Or when you're going home, you see their spouses picking them up. And it just hits women. You feel like you're left out. I don't have that. They have all that. I don't. It's a very hard feeling. And in the end, just think about, when you got older, who do you have around you? Who's going to give a damn about you? A lot of people say, I've got friends. Friends have got their own families to care about and be responsible for and have to look after. And they don't have that much time for you. And your own family, your siblings, well, they've got their own families too. I mean, they'll look for you, they'll do the best they can, but they can't spend that much time with you or be that actively involved. And then what then? It's like a partnership in life. That's what people forget. It's partnership. Now, matchmaking and trying to get the sexes to meet up and marry. Now, you think it's a big game or thing in the West, but in China, things have become very, very serious. There has, I don't know if you've heard of the term leftover women. Well, apparently in China, that term is used for women in their 30s as seen as leftover because they cannot get a match in China. Now, why can't they? Well, leftover women in China are usually highly educated, though, have good pay, earn a good salary, and usually own their own home and also a car in the city. So it seems so desirable. So, they've got all these conditions, good conditions. So why can't they marry? Well, it's because of their age. In their 30s, they're seen as less desirable. I mean, because of the fertility, there's an issue with fertility. The one thing with the Chinese is if you marry, you have children. If you don't marry, you don't have children. That's the way it is. There is like the, illegitimacy rate in China is about 1%. So that tells you how serious they are about marriage for children. So the people that do look at marriage also would be thinking about having children, and even the men are. Now, the thing is, these women also have a fixed criteria, normally have a very fixed criteria about what the type of man that they want. And it's normally, almost always, a high quality, a high value man, such as one earning good money. Okay, and usually they'll want, tens of thousands of yuan a month or hundreds of thousands of yuan, or maybe hundreds of thousands a year if they lower their standards. Never been married, have no children, handsome, caring, and of a certain height. So the big thing is they want men over, I think, 1.75 m. That's what they're also spouting, or some even say over 1.80 m. So with a man like that, normally he's already been married, okay? Or the ones that are not married are normally lower income, which I'll go over to, which they don't accept, or have been divorced and have children, which they also don't want, or older. So it becomes very difficult for the women there in their 30s, highly career women. And there are lots of dating agencies in China. And I know that, I've heard of dating agencies there that refuse to take women over 38 because they're saying, I can't help you. Too difficult, not viable for them because it's a business after all. Matches are too hard. And one of the matchmakers is saying, this woman in 30s saying she wants this, and this, and saying, sweetheart, I can't help you with that. You're not going to be able to find someone like that unless you lower your criteria, your conditions, and so forth, so to speak. And she's going, okay, all right, he not earn 100,000 a month. I'll settle for 50,000 a month. How's that? And I said, still no. And, it's just sometimes, and the matchmakers will say, look, there's always issues. If I've got a man, he's earning okay money, but he's like over 40. Okay, he's 1.80 m, but he's over 40. Okay, and that's the old. But I've got another one. He's only 34. He has his own home, and he has a car, and he has good pay. I think tens of thousands a month. Very stable job. However, he's only 1.68 m. And for that, a lot of women would even say no to that because of the height. This is one thing that's really up there with in China at the moment. Women expect men to be of over a certain height, so to speak. That's been a big thing for them, apart from how much money that he earns as well. And this all comes back to the thing I mentioned before in an earlier show, that women want a protector and provider instinctively. Okay, being tall, let's face it, not just men in China, but women generally would like a tall man, and to her, that's provides the physical feel, so she gets to feel physically protected. Have her partner being capable of, fighting off a mugger or so to speak. And the other thing with the money, in terms of men with money, and so they have the resources to look after them, provide them with a good life. Because you can't blame people for wanting a comfortable life, an easy and happy life. And money is a means of doing it. It provides options. That's what it comes down to. And and so they're not able to. And I also remember seeing a TikTok video. This English guy, okay, and he was saying, "Look, ladies, if you want a 6'5" guy, this is him, with beautiful blue eyes like him and works in finance. We're not going to choose you. Okay, why would we pick you? Who we're going to pick is the woman that doesn't even need to look at us. She's got all these men clamoring around her, wanting her get a date from her. And that's usually the pretty young woman. Like it or not, it's the pretty young woman. To a man, a woman were earning a lot of money is not an attractant to him. Not necessarily. Only, I guess, for men that have no ambition and just wants to look after. But hey, women do not want those type of men anyway. Let's face it. So it's not a big pull for them. What they're after is someone that either has the looks and the fertility, attracted to the youth, or can bring something to the table. Okay, able to, like I say, add value to their lives. And you can't blame them. All right? He's saying that's where they're with everyone. What do you bring to the table, ladies? Really think about it. Okay? Because poorer men do not have as much of a demand and strictest criteria. I guess because they also know in themselves, they don't have much to provide. So they can't be that picky and so forth. They're willing to settle, so to speak. And talk about settling, like I mentioned in China, there are leftover men in China. However, they're usually in the rural areas, either older men or younger men. They cannot find women. Okay, because in the rural areas, they normally have lower incomes. It's not like rural areas in the West where you can have very wealthy farmers. You can make a lot of money go farming if they know how to do it right. But in China, normally equates to being a farmer is like being a peasant. And the women there, normally at least the prettier ones, or go to the city for better prospects. Leave and go to the city for more income and also hope to get a better match. So it leaves a lot of single men in the countryside. They cannot get women. Because there's no women around and no women that's willing to marry them. So you've got this mismatch in China. Older professional women cannot find a partner, and poorer rural men that also cannot find a partner. And very hard to match the two because the older professional women in the city is not going to want a poor rural man, a man in the countryside. But that's what I heard that governments want to push is to match up these two leftover, so to speak. Like I was saying, I've watched quite a number of documentaries, and the leftover men there in the rural areas, I mean, their criteria started going down to, look, as long as she can have kids. He still have kids, he's fine with it. I guess they can't afford to be that picky. And it's a sad situation, and so much for, and So everyone's been telling, and the older professional women telling young women, don't be like me. I was naive. I thought, I had all these offers when I was young, but, there's still plenty more coming, blasé about it and don't understand until later. And especially when they get too older. And the first generation of single women has now started entering into nursing homes. And it's sad for them because then they really regret it because they don't have anyone to visit them. Okay, the parents are gone. Their siblings might have been gone as well, if they have any. They have no kids to visit them in the nursing home, and then they're subject to how they're treated in the nursing homes. And I have to say it, without family regularly visiting and just keeping an eye on things as well, I mean, nursing staff may not take as much care. Okay? If you know what I mean, reading between the lines. And also, it's a big sense of loneliness. They might go form friends there and chat to each other a bit, but in the end of the day, you go back to room, they feel lonely. And that's a nursing home as well. And a lot of them are worried whether or not they've got enough money. I remember seeing this woman that she's 60. She said, you're going to a nursing home, but she did the numbers and she can only afford to live there until she's 70. That's all the money she's got. Then after that, what would happen to her? She has no family. She never married. So it becomes a big regret. In the West, though, you don't have a dire situation because there are social services and so forth, but there's still that sense of loneliness. And just imagine, you not even have to be older. You go into hospital and you're totally on your own. What happens? That's when the loneliness really hits you. There's no one around. I mean, you might have friends, but and you might have one so nice that might drop in and visit you once during a hospital stay, but other than that, no one to really help you and so forth. You're concerned because so concerned about taking you home or speak to doctors and so forth and help you make decisions regarding your treatment. And unfortunately, the young ones don't understand that yet, but the older ones do. And because the older ones do, in China, the parents have taken upon themselves to manage, as I say, the love life of their children. Either because their children don't understand and don't go looking, or they don't have time to do that because they're off busy working. And so there are these parks in China where they're known as matchmaking parks. And so the women, the parents go there and put on a board, their children's conditions and specifics, like, how old they are, their weight, their height, education level, whether or not they own a home, and so forth, and what they're looking for. So you have all these signs there, laid there, and people walking around and reading it. And normally it's just parents. So the parents of the boy looking at the girl, or the girls looking at the boys, signs of the boys, and then the parents they meet and chat and try to negotiate and so forth. And you know what? Sometimes these parents do it without their children's knowledge either. Okay. So, and you keep seeing them all the time. And I remember this woman that she was 40, and so she thought she'll walk around that park just to have a look and see what it was like, read the signs. And you know what? She got mistaken for a parent looking for a match for her child. And she got she was, one, taken aback, and secondly, she got rather depressed. And that because she looks old there. She doesn't belong there trying to find a match for herself. Although that wasn't what she was actively looking for. But, it comes to this point, these matchmaking, and then the parents might say, oh, No. That's too short. You don't see men normally at least a meter 75 to get someone. Or, your boy, does he have his own home? And the parents might get despondent because it's harder for a man to marry if he does not have his own home. This is the expectation in China. The saying goes, you build the nest and attract the phoenix, so to speak. The nest being the home, attract the woman, the wife, a wife, to get a wife. Because, okay, you want a wife, you want a family. Where are they going to live? How are you going to house them? In what conditions? Okay, you're like my daughter. What type of life will she have with you? Now, these are legitimate questions from a parent, because they're not greedy by asking that. It's because they love their daughter, and they don't want their daughter to have to work too hard. So that's the main attraction for the parents in terms of that. And there's also a big thing with the bride price. Unlike places in India and the West, where it's seen as a woman's honor to have anyone to marry her, and in India, the dowry, the woman's family has to come up with a dowry for a man to marry her. It doesn't make sense to me that they have to pay a guy to marry her. In Chinese culture, that is regarded as such an insult. Okay. It's like, you get something, but you expect to be paid to get it too. What does that imply? Implying that she has no value. Woman has no value. She's a burden. Okay. And I've heard of someone trying to defend it and say, no, it's just to provide for the couple. The parents giving it off. Well, why isn't it coming from the man's side? And the woman's side is, look, who marries into whose family? Okay, does a woman marry into the man's family, or the man marries into the woman's family? What surname does the children take? That's the biggest clue. It's usually the woman marrying into the man's family. And so when you get something, you pay for it, obviously. It's then to compensate the family for the loss of their daughter. That's coming over to his side now. It's kind of like they're there. That's all right. It's almost common like they're super, so to speak. And they still hold that in China, and they're demanding. Some of the demands are, besides the money, they have to provide a certain amount of gold as well, and gold jewelry and so forth. Otherwise, the wedding's not on. And those are really hard. And then it comes to a point where, women, I guess they're older and just more desperate to get married. They said, okay, don't worry about the bride price then. Just marry as they are. And, okay, by the way, that's still the thing with bride price, still heavily in China. Like even, I think it was one of the very famous Chinese actors, Huang Xiaoming, that married Angelababy, another star there. He offered her parents $1 million for her. Whether or not her parents accepted, I don't know, because that's the thing. The tradition, I guess, it's up to them. They can accept or not. It's still very much in China, though in overseas Chinese communities, not as much. I mean, the right to claim it or ask for it is still there, but people usually don't. Okay, don't accept it because people do okay now. It's not like in the old days where you need every pair of hands to work the land, and the times were tough. So, I mean, if they do ask it in overseas communities, they pay it, but it's just look greedy. It's just seen in a very bad light now. So that's also a thing. I mean, Chinese culture and Chinese practices on the mainland and for overseas Chinese there's some similarities, but there's also some differences as well. Now, as I said, today is a show about giving advice to women. After all, the advice I give specifically to men. And one of the things, look, we've got to be honest, women are more interested in marriage than men are. Okay? That is part and parcel more interested in love and romance and relationships and marriage. And so, because of that, women are usually more keener on marriage than men. Now, in this age of modern age, there is a lot of couples living together, either just living together or living together before marriage, what they call a trial marriage, so to speak. And is this a good idea? I'll say not, because this benefits men, not women. This puts women in a vulnerable position. The thing is, I think I actually heard Jordan Peterson mention this about living together, and he also advises against living together. Because when you live together, there's no commitment, so to speak. It's just the attitude is you're okay for the now, but not good enough for me to make you permanent. Not good enough for me to make the social commitment, to stand in front of everyone, family, friends, and make that commitment to you and make it official legally. Okay? That is a big thing. And, and then he also points out that more couples that have lived together before marriage divorce than couples that have never been divorced. They're couples that have never lived together before marriage. And why is that? It's kind of like they go into it with a bigger commitment, trying to make it work, rather than say, be married and married you. Not working out, and so they divorce. But the thing is, you see all these couples, it's kind of like, it's more advantageous to the man because they're getting all the benefits of marriage, a sexual partner, and getting home cooked meals and so forth, all the domestic benefits without having to make the commitment. And they can still say, no, I'm single. I'm not divorced. I was that I'm not married. And that is true. I'm not a married man. And, you see a lot of the couples around that are living together. And people when asked, why aren't you married? What's the thing that they say? One thing they all say is that, it's just a piece of paper. Marriage is just a piece of paper. We don't, we love each other. That's enough. We don't have to prove anything to anyone else. Okay. True, that's all you hear, always what you hear. Has anyone heard of any other reason at all? Has anyone ever heard of the woman saying, I really want to get married, but he doesn't want to get married, and if I insist on it, then he'll leave me? It's undoubtedly you have women in de facto relationships that think that, yeah? Undoubtedly there's going to be. But have you ever heard of any woman that admits to that would say that? I've never heard of a woman that would say that, would admit to that, but undoubtedly it's there. Okay, and the women hang around in these relationships, I guess secretly hoping that one day he'll change his mind and he really will marry me. Okay, until that time, blase, but women, if you're going to stick in there and hoping that, and it doesn't change his mind, you'll just be in that relationship until it fizzles out, and then he'll move on to the next one, and then you're going to have to find someone else. And how old would you be then? Would you be in your 30s? Then you'll be stuck in that situation, a panic. And so you just don't buy the thing with men saying that, we love each other, why have to marry? It's better, and if you really want to marry, you better just cut it right there. Okay, split right there. If you're not going to marry me, that's it. Or better yet, do not live together before marriage. Okay, because when you live together before you marry, the chances of you marrying Actually getting married later on then really drops down. I mean, why bother getting married then? I mean, to the man, you know, when why buy the cow when the milk's free, so to speak? Why go front up that additional commitment when he's already got all the benefits? And it puts women in a vulnerable position. And women and ladies, yeah, just be honest. Like I'm saying, mostly women want to get married far more than men. And so if you're in the position, you're going to have to be the one that puts your foot down and sets out your conditions. If you want to be with me, it's marriage. I ain't doing that living together and, we'll see how we go. If we get along, then we're married. If not, there's no point, sort of thing. And how long are you going to have this trial marriage, so to speak, for? Because then you might as well go into it and make the commitment, get married. And then if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Okay? But choose carefully, choose beforehand. Because a man that is willing to marry is different from a man that just wants to just live and play along. Because on that, I've actually seen an interesting article, okay, regarding that from Yana Hocking, and she reveals why single women are so attracted to married men. And I'll read the article to you. Something caught my attention this week that revealed a deep, dark, and shameful secret about single women. Many of us, okay, let me clarify, not me, seem to be like a bull to a red rag when it comes to married men. It appears that a wedding ring is seen as a challenge by many. Shame behavior. Shameful behavior. Don't believe me? I have proof. You see, it all started during my weekly Instagram confessional that I host every Monday night. A guy wrote in and said, I've been married for 2.5 years and I have never had so many women approach me. When I was single, I barely got noticed. I don't like this situation. Is it normal? It piqued my interest. So I put up a poll asking men, did you notice more women hit on you post-marriage? And the results were wild. More than 10,000 men answered the poll, with 74% saying yes. Here I am looking for a charming single guy to float my boat. And my fellow single sisters are giving the wink and nod to married blokes. No, girls, no. One of my female followers had an interesting take on the trend, saying it's because his wife has improved him. Probably got him a new wardrobe and skincare routine, which made me laugh, but also I kind of think she has a point. I know I've mentioned this before, but my friends and I are constantly outraged by the high percentage of single men with poor hygiene. Whether it's bad breath, smelly bedrooms, dirty plates in the sink, or a lack of ironing. Many just don't seem to have the basics down. Toothbrush, lads, use it. So I think she's onto something. One look around any office right now will show you a single Steve heating up last night's Chinese takeaway for lunch while wearing a crumpled shirt he found on the floor of his bedroom. While married Martin arrives in a neatly pressed suit with a thoughtfully packed, healthy lunch made by his charming wife. Okay, that might be a bit of an exaggeration, but it's not too far from the truth. Am I right, ladies? But having pondered it further, I believe there's a deeper reason for this attraction to taken men, and it's quite simple. It comes down to the allure of stability and success. These guys give up a vibe of having it all together. Financially stable, emotionally mature, and even more enticing, they're clearly not afraid of commitment. A man with a wedding ring symbolizes someone who isn't afraid to say, let's give relationships a go. He's literally walked down the aisle to prove it. In today's dating landscape, that can feel like a unicorn. Just getting someone in a situation to agree to be a proper boyfriend is an almighty effort these days. So as much as I hate to admit it, it makes sense that this male poaching or mate poaching is happening in our bars and workplaces. In fact, don't just take my word for it. There's actual experimental evidence that single women are going gaga for other people's partners, according to a report in the Journal of Experimental Social Psychology. It revealed that 90% of single women admitted to being attracted to a man they believed was already taken, while only 59% were interested if he was single. Wow. Can't believe that. Ladies, this man is not your man. He belongs to someone else. And we've got to, annoyingly, respect that. For those who speak First Wives Club, let me put it this way. We want to be Goldie Hawn in this situation, not the Sarah Jessica Parker. So perhaps our alternative is to neaten up the single ones. Choose one that catches your eye, take him on a date to the nearest menswear store, teach him how to throw a load of laundry in the machine and gift him a toothbrush just to say, thinking of you. Cute, right? The excuse, but all the good ones are taken, isn't going to cut it anymore. We need to train these single mutts and turn them into glorious hounds. Oh, I can hear the comments section filling up with outrage already. Sit, boy, sit. So what do you make of that? Do you agree? Okay. Let me know on my Facebook page, Miss Dragonfly, and we can have a chat about it and give me your take, and I'll see if I agree with that. And we are coming towards the end of our show. And today we've had a look at Margot Robbie, that very famous Australian actress who started in Neighbours and has gone on to bigger and better things in Hollywood. And she's now become a global star, especially after starring in that film, that Barbie movie last year. And that was a mega hit worldwide. And it made, I don't know who owns Barbie anymore, besides Mattel owning the doll, but it made the producer lots and lots of money, that movie. And she has been very successful in her life. She has a split chart as well. She's one thing on the outside and something else on the inside. And her career has pretty much moved with her chart. And categorically, you can see that she met her spouse and married him when she was in the same luck cycle as what governs her house of spouse. And that is the dragon. Okay? When your house of spouse gets activated, it can be either a combination, a clash, or the same zodiac animal. Then something will happen. If you're single, especially, you'll meet someone, as she did. She met and married him in that dragon luck cycle. And, you know what? And this year, she is due to give birth to her first child. And this year is the year of the dragon. And lo and behold, the dragon governs her house of children. There you go for her. And so I wish her well in welcoming her first child later this year. And today I went through and focused on women in terms of giving out relationship advice for them. Now, women, the best time to find a partner is in your 20s. Think about it. Anything you want to sell and fetch the highest price you can, you do it while it's in its prime. And for women, like it or not, women are in their prime in terms of the marriage and dating and relationship market is when they are in their 20s. That's when offers get come left, right, and center. You get offers not even just from men in their 20s, but also men in their 30s as well. And so you're able to outcompete women in their 30s for men in their 30s. And so this is the difficult thing. If women focus too much on the careers, try to build up the career first before she goes and worries about a partner, then her golden years of finding one are basically over. It's very difficult then in her 30s to find a man with good conditions. There's a sense that men can actually feel it coming from women. They feel that sense of desperation from women in their 30s. And they feel the time pressure because she's got to have a child by a certain time. Otherwise, her fertility window is going to close. Now, that is not to say that women cannot have a career. They have to focus on finding a partner in their 20s. No, I'm not saying that at all. But just be very aware if you study and do and work and so forth. It's absolutely normal. But however, in your mind, you have to be open to and know that that's when you should also be on the lookout for a partner. And do not be blasé and take the offers that you get during that time for granted, because you're not always going to get it. At that time, if someone meets and able to fulfill all what you need and has good conditions, go for it. Okay, obviously you've got to be compatible as well. So I say all this with the premise that compatibility is needed as well. Because look, older single women want a man that is equally well educated, aesthetically pleasing, with a high income. Everyone wants that. However, those type of men have then the pick of the bunch. Money and just because a woman is earning a fair amount of money, it doesn't really matter to him because he's already well off. So just think, what do you bring to the table? What do you have to offer? Okay, it's one thing I'm encouraging young women now in their 20s not to turn down the nice guy, the good match, okay? Because you're taking him for granted and thinking there's going to be another come along. Now, for women that are already in their 30s, okay, you might you might realize it now. You should have done it in the 20s. Look, it's still not all lost for you. You can still do it, but you can still attract a partner and have something to offer. But this is the big thing. You must have something to offer. So really think about what you can bring to the table. How can you add value to a man's life? Okay. And it's not necessarily money, because remember, if you're after a guy that's well off, money is not a thing for him. No guy gets attracted to a woman because she's earning a high salary. Not really. That's not a big criteria for him. It's other things. What can you do? What skills can you bring to him, to his life? Just really think about it and hone in on that. Even just, being an exceptionally very good cook, take cooking lessons and so forth. Or if you're wanting a man that's in business, think about a man in business. What would he appreciate? Okay, a well-off man would be someone that's being surrounded by yes people. And what can you offer that would be different? Okay, you're not going to be a yes person, but what can you advise him on? A businessman normally doesn't have time to look after everything. So if you can look after part of his life, hey, you've just added value. And that might be either being exceptionally good bookkeeper then, or handle all the admin, very good at handling that. Guy would be impressed by that. Why wouldn't he? Especially a businessman. Or if you happen to know business law very well or taxation law very well, that would be an asset for him. Because all of a sudden, then he would have had years of tax or legal study and experience right at his fingertips and working for him. All of a sudden, he's just acquired that without having to go through that himself. And I know he can pay for that advice if he's wealthy, but hey, this is the thing. When you pay people to do things, they'll do the minimum that they can get away with and be still being paid for or be a yes man and tell him what he wants to hear. Okay? But if it's your partner in life that has as much vested interests as he would, then you are going to go above. You're going to do all that work and really look after him. And maybe even think of things that he wouldn't think of. Because if, say, you go to a lawyer for that specific thing, they'll answer that inquiry for you, and you pay them. That's all they need to do. They're not being paid to suggest something else that would have been, say, a better option. But because they're not being paid for that, they're not going to suggest it. And for him, he would know about that. So you see that? That's the advantage of how you can add value to someone's life, something that they cannot pay for. Okay? And also, like I say, make it pleasant to be around. Be around and sell your credentials as a future partner for him. So, and finally, a message for women. If you want to get married, do not live together. It's a bad idea. Okay, but normally, if you, not saying that it won't happen. I say that because there's still people that live together and then get married. It's not that it doesn't happen. It's that then your chances of getting married, of him marrying you, drops significantly. And for women, that is very important. And remember this, I'm going to add this thing. Very different. For a woman that wants children, this is something I'm going to cover later on. Very important. For a woman that wants children, she normally goes, I want kids, so I'm going to find the right husband, the right partner to have it with. Whereas men would normally say, if I find the right partner, the right woman, then I'll have kids. On the surface, it sounds the same, but it's not. Just think very, very carefully. The priority. One is a must-have with a woman. I want kids. I'll find the partner with. The other one is because he's saying I have kids if I find the right woman, it's conditional. It's not a must, and it's not something that's a priority to him. So think very carefully. When you ask a guy and that's what he says, have a good think about it, okay? And then ask more. Do you actually really want kids at all? Very important. So I'll leave it there with you. Have a good think about it. And I'll cover that more in a later show. And so that's all we have today. That's the show. Okay. Let me know what you think by leaving your comments on my Facebook page. Just search for Miss Dragonfly and I'll come up. And if there's anything that you'd like me to cover, then please feel free to leave it there too. And if I'm able to cover it, then I will. And so that's all for today. And remember to tune in again, same time next week. And until then, it's bye for now.